Hey guys, what's up? Himar here, and welcome back to Let's Play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. In the last episode, we found out that the woman that we had found out in the forest was actually Princess Alincia, and the Dayan soldiers had arrived in order to try to capture her back. Since they were also planning on attacking us, we of course beat them back, and now we're headed south to Gallia, where we should be able to find refuge for her, and hopefully our own mercenary group as well. Before we actually get started, I do want to mention one other thing, and it was mentioned in the last episode. As you could tell from the last one being 34 minutes, these are going to start to be a bit longer, and if they get really bad, then I will split them into two parts, but it's going to have to be something like 40 minutes or over. So until then, what I will likely be doing is showing a little timeline marker where you can say, just skip to this point in the video, and if you skip here, then you'll just go straight to the fight. So in doing so, you'll be missing the story, and then later on, whenever we actually start going through the supply convoy, when we get it later on in a few chapters from now, then you'll also be skipping that as well. So if you're looking for specifically detailed information on the fight, then you can just jump straight there. However, keep in mind, I might be adding experience or class-changing characters or buying weapons while I'm in the convoy, so you might be missing out on stuff prior. So just be aware that if you're jumping straight to the fight, that there are things that you might potentially miss. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in, now that we're a good minute and a half into the video. Alright, so now we actually finally get to see the continent in whole, because we have not done so thus far. We've only seen a little bit of Crimea. So, this right here is your entire map. This is the continent of Tellius, and where we are is in the northwest, which is this section right here, which is Crimea. We saw a bigger version of that earlier. And Dan was, of course, the one that launched the attack on us, which is obviously signified by red, which is in the northeast. That actually is their colors. Dan is red and black, Crimea is white and gold, I believe. So that's right, you heard it here first. Dan is actually Texas Tech Red Raiders, and they're the bad guys. It makes perfect sense. And I can get away with making that joke because I live in Lubbock, Texas, so yeah. Let's go ahead. Yeah, this is all just recap. We've already seen this before. Storm ran back to let them know there was a war. They found Alincia. She claims to be Princess of Crimea. They're going to escort her to Gallia. I know I'm skipping over that, and I kind of did a little bit more, but, I mean, this is all review. This is kind of just a recap up to what's going on so far. So the Green Continent, the Green Country is Gallia. That is to the south of us. This is known, this is home to the Lagoos. So, rather than being humans, these are actually demi-humans. They're beast-like creatures that will be kind of half-human, half-animals that can shape-shift into different animals, like a cat, or a tiger, or a dragon. And so in doing so, they don't need weapons to fight. However, they are vulnerable when they're not transformed. So, that's basically how they work. They're very strange, but we'll see them when we get further on in the game. I'm not a big fan of using the Lagoos units, but there are some that I do like, and I will be using at least one in this playthrough, I guarantee you, and I know which one it will be, too. And the Lagoos and Bjork really do not get along as a whole. The previous king of Crimea, the one that was killed, actually had a very strong bond with him, though. Like, he was very much trying to get them to be equal, and what have you. And so they were very good friends, and which is, of course, why we're headed to Gallia, because we would hope that, you know, and all that was forged, that they would take care of her daughter, because she would want to pass down the same ideals. So the plan here is to get into Gallia and head to the capital. And so we're going to be trying to do that in this episode, which is Chapter 6, A Brief Diversion. Well, how brief is brief? It's a relative term, I suppose. Either way. And of course, Gotry's complaining because he's in the full suit of armor, and it's, you know, they're running through a forest and it's humid. Yeah, that's kind of how dense forests are, or jungles, or whatever you want to call them. So they're also known as subhumans, but that's kind of a slang term. Like, they don't like being called that, so you know, of course, if there was actually one in front of you, you would not be calling them subhuman, you would call them Lagoos. So Shinnen kind of gives you his spin on it, but he is very much anti-Lagoos, so he calls them ugly, you know, they're beasts, they're savages. And Soren's not really a big fan of them either, so they can be divided into 3 groups. You've got the Beast Tribe, which could, like I said, could be cats or tigers. You've got the Bird Tribe, which are hawks and ravens. And then, of course, the Dragon Tribe, which are traditionally called Lagoos. To the south, there's islands. If you go back and look at the map, they're way down there on the bottom of the map. That's where all the birds live, all of the crows and ravens. The dragons are in Goldo, which is south of Gallia. But we'll be seeing more on that later on. That looks like the exact same soldier, but, you know, of course, since there's hundreds of them, it doesn't matter. So, Ina's information was, of course, correct. They're still following us, what a surprise. Alright, so we're coming to the edge of the forest. And there's no doubt that, of course, Dan will attack again. So without knowing their numbers, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do. So with limited information, and Soren's kind of your tactician in a sense. He'll give you a little bit of an idea what to expect in the earlier chapters. So some of your group cannot fight. If they're caught, they'll have a difficult time defending them and attacking the Daeans. So what they plan to do is separate into 2 groups. You'll have a small fighting force to engage the enemy and buy the main groups in time, and then the rest of them that will go to Gallia at full speed. So, while it's sort of a divide and conquer strategy, and using a few small soldiers that are powerful, like Titania or Godfrey or Shinnon, while the rest of them escape, and hopefully don't have to deal with many Daeans. So that's generally the plan. So the diversionary team will of course be Godfrey, Shinnon, and Grail himself, and the rest of the team is going to head straight to Gallia. And yeah, of course, smaller numbers is going to mean better mobility. I don't know why you'd bring Godfrey if you wanted better mobility, but, you know, we'll just say for the sake of plot that that is the case. Because Godfrey's going to be probably the slowest units minus Reese, I guess. So, you've only got 1 life. What's the worst that could happen? It's like the worst that could do is cost you your life, and you got that for free, so. Nice little supporting speech, and of course I don't plan on any of my units dying in this game, so. I will actually mention, though, if I have to re-record a chapter, it hasn't happened yet. It probably will, but right now I haven't had a unit die yet, so. This is a very weird map, I'll tell you that right now. This is a very bizarre map. I don't know what to make of this one, to be perfectly honest, so. There are still more of them here. Do we rethink the strategy? No, too late now. So, the key here is, at least at the start of this, the forest that you're in, the enemy actually will not notice you until you come out of the forest. So that's how the first plan starts. The second one will be basically to pick one of the 2 bridges and go across it, and you kind of let the enemy come to you at that point. So those 3 will take off. And here we go. Now, of course, you've got less units because, you know, you don't have Godfrey, you don't have Shinnon with you, so you've got Ike, Titania, Soren, Oscar, Boyd, and Reese. In my case, I'm just really using 3 of these guys, so it's 3 against an army of, you know, I don't know if I could go back, no, not that. I can go back to the conditions, against an army of 18. The victory condition this time is actually escape, so if I go to view map, you'll see that there's a little thing right here. This is your sanctuary spot. So in order to escape, you'll have to defeat the enemy standing on this, which means you will have to kill the boss. And you'll want Ike to stand on this square, and whenever you do, it will say escape, and then you can order that unit to escape. In addition to this, however, if you get another unit other than Ike to escape here, you'll get a small amount of bonus experience, which we'll be able to use later on. This is also the point where I am going to turn bonus experience on. I did not show it prior, but it's going to start to become more and more important, so I figured I'd go ahead and just show you that it does in fact count as a bonus. As for items, the only thing that we really picked up in the last episode of any importance was, I guess, the hammer if you wanted to use it for Boyd, but I'm going to keep it on Titania in case I need to use her. So that aside, everything looks okay here. We've got an Ashera icon, we have a Speed Wing, we have a Seraph Rope, so if you need to use any of those, then by all means do so. In addition to that, so yeah, you've got 2 options here. You can kind of go down the left side here and come across and let the enemies here come to you, or you can do it the other way around. I've gone both ways. It's kind of up to the player on this one. It honestly is up to the player. I prefer going to the right side because it takes less time, because, you know, you're not spending time going through the forest, but it is up to the player here. Going down the left side's probably easier, but you don't have to do it. So, I think that's all we need. Let's go ahead and start. Now, this first turn, you are going to want to actually stay in the forest. This is kind of your getting as close to the enemy while still being in the forest as you can stage. I'm just going to switch. Right here. And yes, I'm going to do it again. So this is about as close as I can get to these guys without them actually noticing I'm here. So, now's when we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a feeling Ike's going to have a better shot at taking out the soldier than he would, or the archer than he would the soldier. Can Oscar get rid of the soldier? He cannot. How about the other one? No, he certainly can't get that one. Oh, he's got a javelin, that's why. Okay. Can Ike get rid of either one of these? No, he cannot. Okay, so... Oh, right, we've got Soren. Okay, I was going to say new change of tactics, but no, we're good. I don't want to waste that Regal Sword because of its effect bonus, so, well... No, we'll go and use Steel. The Steel Sword can be replaced. You're not getting a second Regal Sword. I'll tell you that right now. The Steel Sword can be replaced. We also got a weapon level up for that, so we're at B for him now. I'm going to have Titania get rid of the guy with the javelin, because I know he's going to be a pain in the butt if I don't. Alright, that works. Also, watch out for this guy down here. He's got a poleaxe, and poleaxes are good against your knight units, so Titania and Oscar. So, just fair warning, watch out for him. Level 7, level 5, we'll let Oscar weaken him, I guess. Well, no, we should let Soren, because then Oscar won't be taking the damage. If Soren gets adept and kills him, then that's fine, but if not, no big deal. And he did. Okay, cool. Okay, let's just make sure this guy cannot reach us this turn. You want to be very careful with that poleaxe. Not so much on Titania as Oscar, because Titania can probably take it. Oscar's going to get hit pretty hard by it. It's not going to get him in one hit, but it's going to do a lot of damage. So once you head out of the forest, then of course Emil, or Emil, yes, Chugga Conroy is actually defending that square, will let his troops know that the enemy's been spotted. Now keep in mind, there are going to be enemies from this side that are going to come after you too. Usually it'll just be this Myrmidon. The archer might come after you, but if he does, no big deal. Can an Iron Sword get rid of him? Yeah, we'll do that. I'm not going to send Ike up this side, by the way, just for future reference. We'll move Soren here. Weaken this guy as best we can. Once again, if he gets adept, no big deal. I do want Oscar to get that kill, but I do not want him to get hit by the poleaxe, which is why I weakened him first. Yeah, see, 17. It's only got like a 50-50 shot relatively, but 17 damage for 29, like that's over half his health, so that's pretty painful, so you want to try to avoid that. And that's why I had Soren attack first. It seems like I'm explaining this a little bit too much, but if you haven't played these games before, it might actually be worth going over. Alright, got double digits for defense. He's not doing very well in level up, sadly. Got a poleaxe. I have to discard an item. That's an axe, and I'm not really a fan of it anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and discard that. Alright, there we go. Let's see if that archer actually, yeah, he is going to come up here. Well, I'm just going to let him chase after Ike for a little while, because I want Ike to make sure that he's with the rest of the group. Here will give you an idea of how strong the hammer is because it's bonus damage. So, Iron Axe 12 times 2, Steel Axe 15 times 2, Hammer 25 times 2. So that's how strong it is relative to your current weapons. Instead, though, since since I want characters that I'm using to get experience, I'm going to let Oscar and Soren do all the work. And there we go. Got a level out of that. And literally nothing. That does happen sometimes, and it's rather annoying when it does. Okay, I got beat up a little bit. Not too bad, but we'll go ahead and heal him. Some people might recommend you save that heal staff that Reese has. I'm sort of indifferent towards it. I would, you know, obviously you want to have your units stay alive as compared to using it, because later on you'll be getting a different healer that's better than Reese overall and is much more useful in combat. But, I mean, it's kind of up to you. Reese is the only person when he class changes that can use the light magic, so... I mean, it's kind of the player's decision on that one as well. And I'm actually not going to be able to get that guy in one round, am I? Oh, no, wait, 12 times 2. Yeah, I can get him. For some reason, I read that as 11, and I was like, I'm going to leave him with 1 health, and I can't get him in 1 round. Okay, let's go ahead and have Reese heal Oscar as well. And down here, you're going to have a healer unit, which he doesn't have anything on him. He's just there. He's pretty much free experience, really. Got a mage, and we've got a Myrmidon who's going to drop a Vulnerate whenever he's defeated. So I say we probably just move everybody forward and let them come to us. Go. And mage isn't too bad. I mean, it's like how you would expect a mage to be. It uses magic, so it's more focused on your resistance than your defense. But for the most part, since he's still going to be really frail, you should be able to kind of just push him right off the edge of the map. See what I mean? But how much can Soren do against these two units? And of course, since Soren's got very high resistance, 10, the mage is not going to be able to do any damage to him, and that's going to happen a lot. If you get a straight-up head-to-head mage battle with Soren against an enemy mage, they're going to do next to nothing against him, so that is definitely an important thing to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the Myrmidon, because I'm more concerned about him than the mage. Keep in mind, another unit that's got incredibly high magical resistance is also your healers, so they're not going to be able to do much to Reese either. If we took a look at Reese's, his is 15, his is even higher. Soren only had 10, and he was still getting 0 damage taken him, so Reese obviously won't either. So it seems like the best course of action is going to be do this, and then just have Titania get rid of him. Sadly, this guy does not drop his spell for Soren to use. Kind of a shame, but what are you going to do? He will be getting another spell next map, so if it's running low, and mine kind of is, then just be aware that you'll get another shot at it later on. I suppose I could have Boyd get a kill. Well, not like that. Well, maybe he will. Let's try for it. Yeah, good job, Boyd. We'll let you have a kill for once. And he still didn't get a level out of that. Alright. Get Ike a little bit closer so you can get back in the action here. I don't think that healer over there moves to run away or anything like that, so... Okay, this is a little problematic. It's not too bad. Gonna attack this guy from range. Get Ike even closer. There we go, nice. The plan is just stick him right there. So the shove command actually can be used somewhat advantageously for stuff like that, so it's not a complete waste. And there's one map in particular where you practically have to use it for one character every turn, and you'll see why. It's pretty late in the game, but I don't know why they decided to show it to you at that point, because by then you've probably already used it. Ah, there we go, now he's gonna move. That wasn't a full heal, though. He didn't get him back all the way. Probably leave those two there. Okay, can I get rid of this guy? Yeah, let's get rid of him first. I do not like having those Myrmidon around any mages, because they've got pretty good accuracy, so... Even when Soren class changes, those guys can still probably hit him, so you gotta watch out for them. That was a pretty good level. I would like strength for him to go up even higher, but for now, that'll have to do. Okay, let's see if I can get Adept on either of these two hits here. Nope, neither one. Okay. Well, that healer's not going to be able to do anything with nobody to heal, so we'll just let I kill him. Let these two come back. Tanya, you'll do nothing. Yeah, I see that armored unit coming up. Okay, how much is the Regal Sword going to do? No, not the Steel. The Regal Sword going to do 8 times 2, so that'll bring him down to 10. Assuming he doesn't get a critical. So I can probably finish him from there. Yeah, that might be the best course of action. I'll do that. And if I crits him, then that's fine, to be perfectly honest. If I get the experience, it's not going to break my heart. Ike can't actually class change at this current point. He has a class change that is relative to the story. So once he's at level 20, he's essentially useless to you. Unless you absolutely have to use him for battle, because he'll be hogging experience that he won't actually get anything for. Unless you want to go for weapon level. So once he hits 20, you're pretty much just kind of using him only when you have to, kind of like your pre-promotes. But you do want to make sure he gets to level 20 before that case. It's about halfway through the game. I think it's around chapter 16 or so. You'll get him to level 20 beforehand, but make sure you have him to level 20 by chapter 15 or so, like 15, 14, somewhere in there. You want to make sure that's the case, because in, I think, chapter 16, whatever Daybreaks is, he's completely useless in that fight, and you'll see why when we get there. Let's go ahead and knock out this healer as well. Okay, so that just leaves these three, right? Yeah. Now these guys aren't going to move. They have Javelin, Short Spear, and Javelin, so they have ranged weapons, but they will not move. So we don't have to worry about that. So you've got a couple different options of how to approach this here. I'm going to show you the one that you can get away with taking a minimal amount of damage for. Let's see, who's pretty low? Ike's pretty low. Okay, we'll do that. The best thing to do is to isolate the soldiers that are not the boss, just the regular guys, and get them out. So what I would say to do is put somebody with a ranged weapon like Oscar and attack them with a ranged one as well. In Oscar's case, you can actually go for it since he's got the ability to move after he attacks and just attack them head-on like this if you prefer, which is actually what I'm going to do. And then you can just back away. However, let's say you had somebody right here and they couldn't back away, you could always just move Titania within range and unequip her weapon. And since they knew that Oscar would have the Javelin and he would counter and Titania couldn't, then they would go for her instead. I'll just leave that be. I don't think those soldiers have healing items, so they won't be able to do anything. We'll go ahead and take him out with Soren. Very nice. That was a really good level right there. That's pretty much everything you can ask for right there out of a typical level up for a mage. That was perfect. You're not going to get a lot of defense. Soren doesn't get a lot of luck, and that's just how it is, so you're going to have to accept that. And, of course, he doesn't need physical strength at all, so... I'm going to go ahead and heal Oscar. He probably doesn't need it, but just in case. Plus, this is a good habit to get into early, because this is the only way that healers can get experience without using bonus experience, is by healing on the battlefield, and it's not worth a lot. You have to use staves as if they're weapons, and there are other types that you can use, not just when a character is injured, but other different things, but we'll get into that later as well. How are you doing on experience? Alright, you're at 7, you're at 12, and you're at 9. We'll wait a turn and see what happens. The best thing to do here probably is let Oscar get this guy, because this weapon only has one attack left on it, and so it's going to break right here. Which is actually a good thing, because that gives him another slot to equip something else later on. And you can probably be willing to bet what that is. So, now this guy is obviously going to provide more of a hassle, because he's a halberdier, which is an upgrade from a soldier. So, he's going to have a little bit higher stats, in his case pretty high skill and pretty decent speed as well. His strength and defense are about average for a halberdier. At least an enemy halberdier. Let's see, so worst case scenario, I take 18 right there. I might go with steel. 8 times 4, that's going to do exactly 32 if it hits him every time. I think I'm okay with that happening, though. So let's see, that'd be 7 times, that'd be 28. That would leave him with 4. We'll do that. Oh, well, nope, so much for that plan. Alright, well, I was not expecting him to get that critical, so we'll just do this. The plan was to let Ike attack him twice, and then he would counter and try to attack Ike again, and that would leave him with 4 HP. But since Ike got a critical, I just was able to get him in that round. So, that works. Okay, so let's go ahead and escape with all the other units, as you can see right here. Escape the battlefield, leave with Ike to clear the map, but if you leave with all the other units first, then you get a small bonus for that, so. Boy to full health, yeah. You can also heal with Reese if you want to, get some last minute experience as well. There we go. I think his staff's about out of juice too, isn't it? Oh no, 20. For some reason I thought it said 2 a second ago. So yeah, let's go ahead and I'm actually going to do one other thing really quickly. I'm gonna get battle preparations before, and I'll trade it for the short spear next chapter. So we'll escape with Soren, and you don't have to do it in any order. As long as Ike escapes last, then it's fine. And if you want to rush it and kill the boss and escape before all the enemy units are dead, you can do that too. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend going for the experience, but either way. Oh, I forgot to turn the experience thing on. That's right. I knew I forgot to do something. Alright, well, you'll have to take my word for it. There's another chapter where you'll be escaping as well, and you'll see it then. I need to make sure to do that, though. So, looks like Miss Rolf and Alincia actually made it across safely. However, yeah, we have not seen hide nor hair about Grail, Shinnon, or Gotri, but of course they're probably the strongest units we have, so... And Ike decides to say, we're gonna go back and help our friends. And for us to stay in Gallia, which is not the wisest idea, but, you know, that's what they decided to do. You're like a couple of older women. Nothing bad's gonna happen while I'm around. Yeah, we gotta have somebody sit in the corner and do nothing, and Boyd's top candidate for that. You also get this, too. Reese will actually get another staff. This is a men's staff. It is slightly more powerful than a heal staff. A heal staff will restore 10 HP plus whatever the user's magic is. So for Reese, it was doing 20. Mend is 20 plus the user's magic, so this will do 30. So it's a stronger healing staff is all it is. So very, very useful. I mean, you know, might as well have it with you. I usually later on stick to the heal staffs because they'll max anyway, because your units will get high magic, and it's got more uses on it. But the men's staff early on is very useful, because it's another extra 10 HP out of it, so. We head off to find the commander and our other companions in the next episode. So, thank you guys for watching. This has been Pitmarthroy with Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and I will see you guys in the next one. And the next one's a pretty interesting chapter, too. I mean, there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on in that one. So, see you guys then.